Coming up on this all-new episode of Arcade Pickers.
The arcade is my baby. It's my responsibility to keep it up and running.
We got a Super Smash Brothers tourney going.
This Super Nintendo kiosk. Something's a little fishy about this.
Dude, this Raiden candy cab is sick.
I'm Corey Masal, and this is our home arcade. I've been playing games for over 30 years, and my son Jacob, he's been playing games for the last 10 years. We've searched all over for some of the rarest arcade cabinets you can find, but we still have yet to find the Holy Grail.
Attention, NARC 1.
Oh no, the knife, man!
511 in progress.
Let's go!
NARC, made by Williams Arcade Cabinet. One of my favorite games of all time. My son Jacob is searching for a PlayStation 5. Join us as we hit the highways to find people's garages and home collections to search for what we've been looking for. This is Arcade Pickers.
Alright, so we're on day 2 of Arcade Pickers for this weekend. And Jacob has some exciting news this morning before we head out, and I tell you guys where we're going. He picked up some pretty cool stuff. What did you get?
So, I didn't buy game stuff. I bought airsoft guns. I bought a revolver right here.
It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty
What is
cool.
it?
An Elite Force
H8.
H8R Gen 2.
That thing takes CO2, so
Yeah.
it hurts if you get shot with it. It's not like a spring gun. And then he can't really show you this because it's in the box,
It's
but
in the box, but it's an MP5 with a suppressor on it.
a big MP5 like machine gun airsoft that takes a battery and CO2. So he's gonna be blasting fools just like he does on Call of Duty, or is it Fortnite that you play?
No.
No Fortnite?
No Fortnite.
All right, well, as far as arcade picking goes today, we're gonna be heading to the Gaming Zone, which is in Tempe, next to Arizona State University. Now they have one of those in Gilbert, but it's just a game store in Gilbert. The one in Tempe actually has an arcade attached to the game store, which I'm really excited to see. I've met the owner there, and he has given us the green light to come in and film. So we're gonna go show you guys what's going on. We might buy some stuff, we might not. You don't have any money left now, do you?
Nope.
Because you bought
Took
these two
all
guns.
my money.
How much were the guns?
$350.
350 bucks. I will say this though, I feel like the reason you got the guns is for your love of shooting games.
Yes.
He likes
I
to
love
go into
shooting
the
games.
arena and play. So anyways, you ready to go to the game store?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Let's do this.
As we head to the Gaming Zone, we are both still very hopeful to find a NARC arcade cabinet and a PlayStation 5.
Alright guys, so we're here at the Gaming Zone in Tempe, Arizona, and little to our knowledge, we did not know that there is actually a Smash Brothers tournament going on in the arcade room here today. So we got Jacob on camera. I'm going to show you guys a little bit about this store, and then we'll let you guys take a look in the arcade. So let's do this. Alright, so we're in luck. So we have somebody here who really knows what they're talking about. This is Jared. And he's actually going to take us into the arcade because that's your baby, right?
The arcade is my baby. It's my responsibility to keep it up and running.
Awesome, that's what I like to hear. But before we go in there, my son Jake on camera, he was dying for you to tell us about the mystery bags.
So the mystery bags are actually Alejandro's creation. Alejandro is one of the owners of Gaming Zone.
Okay.
It originally started with an idea from one of the conventions. We were at Comic-Con, or Fan Fusion,
Something like that.
Fan Fest. I don't remember what it was called at the time.
Okay.
But there was a bunch of people that were selling mystery bags, and there was an assortment of like different types. It was anime themed, it was video game themed, and we didn't bring anything of the sort. And when you saw how popular they were, you saw everybody walking around with these things. And then when you see the stuff that the people were getting out of them, it was like, well, Alejandro had, you know, he has all this stuff already, so if we could put these things together, why not? People would be interested in them. And
he told me about him when I met him. So
yeah.
There's guaranteed to be like one rare or hard to find thing or something like that in there. Is that what he
So
said?
there's, what they do is they try to make it worth your value, and in some cases, some of them end up being worth way more than what you purchased. You're not going to pay $20, $30 for something and be disappointed that you walked away with $10 worth of stuff. So with the mystery bags, they kind of go hand in hand with, we have a mystery box at conventions, and it's you hand over $5, you get to reach in the box blind, and you get to pull something out. And the first weekend that we did that thing, we were so successful, we ran out of games to put in the mystery box. We actually started having to come to the store and put stuff in the box, and the bag is the same thing. It could either be worth $5, it could be worth $15. You could get a $30 game, a $40 game. I mean, we're not putting like $200 games in these things because you only have so much of those in inventory.
Right.
You're going to get something valuable, whether it be the game, or it be the plushie, or it be a movie. There's Blu-rays in these things. There's PS4, there's Xbox One, there's Switch. They try to cover everybody's interests.
Okay.
And around the holidays, these things are really popular because, I mean, even the person who's buying it doesn't know what's in it.
Okay.
But obviously, you know, word of mouth spreads. So you don't want your mystery bags to have nothing in them of value, because then people are going to know that you're picking up something that doesn't have anything worth paying $20, $30 for. So yeah, they have been popular. There has been really good feedback. There's a lot of Twitch streamers that have received their mystery bags and put it on their channel with positive feedback from the people that follow their channels. So I think that Alejandro's idea was actually pretty successful. I think that it was just one of those things that we were sitting around after a convention thinking, we could do that. Why don't we do that? And I mean, I don't want to take any credit for it. That was 100% Alejandro's idea. The mystery box at the conventions, he doesn't get credit for that.
Okay. Well, that's cool though. I mean, you caught Jake's attention as soon as he walked in. He wanted to know about it. So one of the other really cool things that I think, besides the arcade, that sets you guys apart, especially at this location, is these cases that you guys have. And I'm going to get some footage of that so you guys can see it up close. But tell me again about these cases, the Nintendo, the Xbox, the PlayStation.
So originally the store was a combination, when we were in a couple suites over, originally it was a combination of grid wall and just wall hanging, you know, shelving, regular shelving that you'd see almost anywhere. But this opportunity arose with a local distributor. Kind of, I don't know if they were a huge franchise. There was only 2 or 3 locations in Arizona. They were called Hastings. And Hastings, these were their actual retail cabinets. So it was a no-brainer. They're commercial grade, they're retail cabinets, and they came with those inserts. The game inserts came with them. So we didn't actually have to modify these in any way. The only thing that was different was because Hastings was such a large store, it was almost like a Best Buy sized store. There were actual metal grating in front of the games when you walked into the store, and the holes were big enough to reach your hand in and look at the games, but they weren't big enough to get the games out. So we removed all those and just turned it into a regular display case, but they're incredible.
It's beautiful.
They already had the cutouts available for mounting televisions, so I had an idea to run these vintage video game commercials. So there's actually 2 separate DVDs running with a different assortment of like an hour and a half of vintage video game commercials on them.
Very cool.
And then you know, they're computer monitors, but we covered them up with an overlay that makes them look like an old.
It's like a CRT.
Yeah, an old CRT television.
It's really good, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, that actually turned out really well. And it's actually pretty funny. I mean, when I was making the DVDs that play on these televisions, I actually got caught up in sitting and watching it because it's funny. Some of this stuff is gold because it hasn't aged very well, especially like the Jaguar ones.
That had all those commercials on it, and I got caught up watching them too on the arcade.
It's so
screen.
funny.
Speaking of arcades,
Right.
He's our console kid, but I'm the arcade guy. I'm the restorer, and I know you do a lot of this stuff, so I'm dying for you to give us a quick walkthrough of the arcade in here. So let's do it.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, so Jared, as we mentioned, is the arcade guy here, and the Super Nintendo kiosk. Something's a little fishy about this.
Right. It started its life as an original Xbox kiosk.
Okay.
But the problem is as diehard of a fan as you might be of the original Xbox, the people that come in and out of this lounge didn't care for it. Super Nintendo, anything Nintendo, obviously people are more drawn to that. So for me, this was a complete kiosk when I got it, but nothing went to waste. All of the parts that I removed from it that were Xbox did go to people that had incomplete kiosks. So I was able to help other people put theirs together and build this one. But it's not originally a Super Nintendo kiosk, but it did turn out, in my opinion, it turned out pretty well. It's been very popular, especially with Turtles in Time. We rotate the games out regularly. I mean, this thing has had everything from Sunset Riders to Turtles in Time. We had Mario Kart in there for a while. So there's a good chance that if you stop in a couple of times a month or two, there's going to be a different game set up in it. Okay. One of the games that's in there right now is actually a remake of New Super Mario World. So like, it's obviously it's not really a ROM hack. It's a new-ish Super Nintendo game, but it's just interesting stuff. It's things that you get to come in. You don't typically get to sit down co-op anymore on Super Nintendo with people. Nobody really sits down to do that.
Right.
This thing has been really popular with people.
Right.
They're already here playing games. You'd be surprised how many people, even though they have one at home, will stand at this thing, especially and play Turtles in Time.
Play it on an arcade style
Exactly.
setup. And while we're speaking of that, you guys do the arcade in here. Let's say I walk in off the street and I'm like, hey, I want to play in your arcade. What does that look like for the customer? Is it a flat rate? Are they dropping quarters in?
It is a flat rate. Everything in here is free play.
Okay.
Our Gilbert location, the machines, they still do accept tokens, or quarters, I should say, because there's only 3 or 4 machines. Yeah, I think there's 4 machines right now.
Okay.
But that has like the full-size DDR. There was a Pac-Man there. I don't know if that's still there. But yeah, it was more along the lines of it didn't make sense to do an arcade pass for a store that only has a couple of machines. The big draw is obviously the gaming lounge.
Right.
So when you come in for the gaming lounge, you're typically paying your entrance fee for the tournament, whereas on the arcades, you have the option for the arcade pass, which is all day. So that has been, especially in the last couple of weeks, that thing has been amazingly popular. Before all the lockdowns, and when we were forced to limit the number of people that were in the lounge, that was probably one of the biggest revenue earners for the store was the arcade. Wow. This lounge was never empty on a weekend. And during any random day of the week, there would be people in here on their lunch break, on their way home from work. It didn't matter, it was always busy. We have just now picked back up, and the arcade has finally gone back to its level of popularity that it was a year ago. In my opinion, in this area, there's a lot of places like this, but the benefit that this lounge has over other places that have arcades is that we have the fighting community. We have the people who were already here lounge playing, casuals, tournaments. Those people, it was a built-in customer base for us. So those are the people that we're seeing are bringing the most people in here just to play the arcade games. It's been, in my opinion, it's been like my home away from home because a lot of my machines are here. So there is times when I come here just to work, fixing machines, but there are times when I will come in here, like I'm here today, just in my free time, and I'll spend 15, 20 minutes on Raiden 2. I'll see how far I can get on one credit. Like this is a fun place to be, even if it's free to me. I'll still come here and I'll play every once in a while.
Absolutely. Wow, that's really cool. Well, I wanna have you show us about some of these machines over here, so let's go take a look.
Okay.
All right, so here we are at your Raiden 2 machine. What can you tell us about this?
Raiden 2 is a 1993 vertical scrolling shooter game that was developed by Cebu Kaihatsu. It was the second game in the Raiden series of vertical scrolling shooter arcade games that started with Raiden. It was also ported to the PlayStation and renamed the Raiden Project.
This started its life as an empty Aero City. This was just a metal shell, and I had a Raiden 2 board laying around that needed a cabinet. So everything on this, as far as the control panel, the button layout, and the marquee, everything is custom. I have a problem of I have a bunch of machines, but I don't have anywhere to put them, and that's kind of where this started. I provide what I can't fit at my house or what I don't want at my house. It finds a way into either this store or the Gilbert location, or I'm sure at some point something of mine is going to end up. We have a bar that we provide arcades to a bar locally. But yeah, this actually is a 100% like original build. It was a complete empty shell. I designed the control panel. I designed all of the button labels and everything, and the marquee I lifted from the side art from an original cab. It wasn't originally in a candy cab, so this was something that I really, really, really liked. And it's another one of those things where I will come in and I'll play this every once in a while because I don't have this at home. So this is probably one of the first arcades that I customized fully myself.
Over here playing, and over here I just want to show you guys right away. It looks like we've got a House of the Dead shooter. Now this one I have fully restored before from David's episode, and it's a really cool game, and I love that they have one in mint condition right here. And then over here you guys can see there's a Neo Geo, which is that machine we've talked about on the episode before that has the cartridges inside that you can change out. So that's pretty awesome as well. All right, it's hard to not walk over to this corner because I see a lot of my favorites over here. This thing is pretty awesome, and it looks like it's running, is that a Pandora box?
12.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way to go, I feel like, with one of these, because then you can play all the games.
Well, and we didn't build this. We actually got this in a trade as a MAME cabinet.
Okay.
The problem is being a retired Big Blue cab, it still had the 25-inch monitor chassis in it, and it weighed a ton.
Oh, yeah.
It was way too hard to move.
Oh, yeah.
We swapped it out for the HD monitor, and the board of choice ended up being a Pandora's 12 because they're abundant, they're cheap, and at the time they were new. And it actually, everything plugs in. Everything worked as is. We didn't have to really mess with anything.
All right, so tell us about this Mbs Neo Geo.
This is the first cabinet of mine that I kind of had to piece together completely from scratch. This started its life as a 3-player Moonwalker cabinet. Woo! Yeah, I know, but to buy the Moonwalker board and the CPO and everything, it was completely, yeah. So it still has the Moonwalker Sega metal plate on the back, which is funny. But this monitor is a 27-inch Trinitron Sony flat screen. So
it's like a TV in there, right?
Yeah, if you look at it, this is a flat screen Sony Trinitron that I rewound to be a computer monitor, or an arcade monitor. The colors on this thing are rich and the picture is really sharp. And these things at one point in time were free at Goodwill. Like, they could not give these things away.
It's like the silver TV. I did the same thing to Time Crisis. On the dual screen, I just put this TV's flat screen in there. So it looks beautiful.
Yeah, this is just an XBR27. That's all that this TV started its life as. And I mean, you can see it looks incredible. The picture on this thing is beautiful.
It does. It's great. And you know, it's probably from the early 2000s or the late 90s, so it's a newer monitor.
But the hardware is original Neo Geo hardware. It's a 4-slot MVS.
Beautiful. I absolutely love that. Okay, so the other one I really got to talk to you about is this Demon Front over here, because I personally don't know a whole lot about it.
Demon Front is a side-scrolling run-and-gun arcade game released in 2002 by International Game Systems. It shares many characteristics with the Metal Slug series. The gameplay is not only similar to Metal Slug and other games, but it lacks the vehicles that were an element of Metal Slug. In addition, there are some unique features in the game. Each of the 4 characters brings along a pet, which can be sent to attack enemies or be used as a shield.
All right, so tell me about Demon Front.
So Demon Front, it was ran out by a company called IGS, which you can conveniently see right now.
Right.
It bears a really remarkable resemblance to Metal Slug, which is apparent when you watch the gameplay. It looks like Metal Slug. This game is not a cabinet that you will ever find. IGS didn't produce full cabinets that we were aware of. We couldn't find any information. So everything from the marquee to this CPO is 100% custom. I had to make all of this from scratch. This machine, we don't know where it came from. It was an empty cabinet when we got it. But the hardware is original. This is not emulated. The CPO is 100% my design. All the artwork, all the way down to this polycarbonate laminate, I did everything myself.
Awesome.
But you would never know by looking at it that this wasn't original because I covered all my bases. But the monitor went out on it, and we didn't want to remove it from the arcade, so we converted it to an LCD once the monitor went out. This cabinet didn't have anything in it, so we didn't sacrifice any original anything.
No.
So once we put this hardware together, this was a very, very fun machine, and it still is. I don't really mind the widescreen. I know some people will, but
I think it looks great.
it is, and it's a really good alternative to Metal Slug. It adds elements to Metal Slug gameplay style. I don't know, you just run and gun type game.
Oh yeah.
It adds mechanics and elements that aren't there in Metal Slug.
Okay. I mean, I just saw kind of some of the gliding and flying.
Flying, you have familiars, you have different power-ups on this game. There's a list of power-ups and ways to use them. It's all right here on this instruction card, which this is an original instruction card as well. So it was all things we didn't want to go to waste. We kind of stuck with the whole theming of everything when I built this whole thing from scratch.
So I'm gonna go home and play Demon Front.
Demon Front is fantastic.
Yeah, I know it's on my machine.
I love it.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, that's cool. Well, in just a few here, we have a couple more stops to make. So I want to thank you so much for taking some time out. I know you didn't even know we were coming at this point.
Had no idea. I was actually just here doing some inventory updating.
Wow, and thank you so much. I mean, we do a lot of buying and either keeping for our collection or restoring so people can buy. Everything we buy on our show is for sale. So when people go to the website, they can have it shipped or they can come pick it up, whether it's marquees, artwork, game boards, full cabinets, cartridges, it doesn't matter. So your store to me stands out in the Valley as one of the top gaming stores here, especially with this arcade that you guys have attached. This is unbelievable.
And we really have been fortunate. The following and the fan base that we have, and it's weird saying fans, but there really truly are people in the Phoenix area, you know as well as I, that they have like favorites. Fortunately, we are friendly and on good terms with everybody else in the Valley. There are no game stores that particularly don't care for us. We're just like Nick with One Up Games. Nick is a friend of mine. So yeah. One Up Games is not a competitor. They're that guy that if we don't have it, might give him a call and say, hey, we have somebody looking for this. Do you have a copy of it by chance? If not, oh well. But that's a very rare thing. That's more of a small town feel. In an area with a market as big as Phoenix, you don't get a whole lot of people that are adamantly against, you know, this store. A lot of people, it's a universally understood thing that if you like tournaments and if you like fighting games, you're more than welcome here. This game lounge has the same faces in it every weekend. Everybody here knows each other.
That's great.
But we still do get, you know, hundreds of unique hits on Google. People looking for this game store who have, according to the metrics, never searched for it before. So we are still getting new customers in here, people who didn't even know we were here, which to somebody like me, that amazes me. Like, how can you not know? There's only a handful of retro gaming stores. How could one have escaped you that long? And welcome, if this is your first time, you know?
Did that to me. We stumbled across you guys on a Google search in the area. Otherwise, we were hitting the Fallout games and the Bookmans and those places. And as soon as I found you guys, I said, this is pretty awesome.
Well, Fallout has a demanding lead in the market here. They've got a store in every part of the Valley.
Wow, they don't have a full-size arcade inside there, though.
The arcade is particularly my part that I'm proud about.
I'm so proud of all the work you've done, and thanks for sharing everything with us.
Not a problem.
Hopefully we'll get to come back again, but I think before we go, I'm going to go do some shopping.
That's fine.
All right.
Be my guest.
Thanks again. You're awesome.
From the dark with your head.
All right, we're outside Fallout Games in Tempe by ASU, and we're gonna go in and grab one of these one-of-a-kind portable Nintendo, I guess they're handheld systems. So let's go grab one. You guys are gonna like this, and if you want one, they sell them and they can ship them to you. They're custom made by this company, so let's check it out. So as you can see, these guys have a lot of cool stuff. They have a lot of used games. They have a location here. They have several in Phoenix, and they have one, actually I think in Mesa, right by us. But I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. Come here. Thanks guys. How are you guys? Props to the workers. These guys are slammed all the time in here. So this is it right here. And you know what's interesting that I found out was they actually have a Super Nintendo one as well. But I'm a Nintendo guy, so this is the one I'm gonna grab today. And I feel like it's really, really reasonably priced at $100. I've spent more than that on a cartridge for that before. But what's nice about it is you guys can see it actually has HDMI output for your TV, and you put the cartridge in right there. It charges up with a micro USB, so you don't actually have to put batteries in it. You can charge it up and play it, but guys, they're $100, so you can't go wrong on that. So I'm gonna put the link in the description for this if you wanna pick one up. And these guys have them exclusively at Fallout Games, so I'll take it. Oh, you have one over here for me already. Cool. Cool, thanks guys. What's your names?
I'm Josh.
Josh and Nick. Nice to meet you guys. Thanks for letting us come in and do this. We've had a lot of people ask about these, so we were like, we'll come in and film. And I'm totally gonna go home and like play it, and then that'll be the second part of the show, is showing it in action. So we're excited about it.
Follow us on Facebook as well.
On Facebook, Fallout Games. My go-to for game stuff. What is it, 102? 10810, there's one. There's 9. So I'm excited to try this out, you guys. I bought in a lot of my cartridges. If you pan over there really slowly, you can see they have a huge collection of NES cartridges as well. So that's where I buy a lot of the cartridges that I'm going to be playing on this system. So I have to ask you guys, because other people are going to ask me, what's the warranty situation on these?
These guys get a year warranty. You get a year defective exchange. Anything
Okay.
goes wrong within that time, we'll just give you another one.
Okay, I feel like I haven't been this excited in a while to play something. Like Switch was cool, but like I didn't know the games. But like I definitely know the games on this. And then, do you guys have? You don't have a Batman for NES, do you? We've been searching for that, and I think last time I was in, I didn't see one. But you didn't get any since we were here last time.
It's rough out there, man.
It is rough.
Nobody wants to give up their good stuff.
I know, that's how it goes. Well, sweet man, thanks for letting us pick it up. So let's go home and try this thing out and see how it plays. So thanks guys. Yeah, have a good one. Appreciate it. Take care. Alright guys, so you can see I've got the 8-bit boy home, and I wanted to give you guys a closer look at this thing. You can see it has an HDMI output if you want to play on your TV. It charges with a micro USB here, making it super convenient, and actually holds the charge for a long time, you guys. It's got an on-off switch, and what's really cool is it has this 16:9 4:3 option with a headphone jack. So if you want there to be a bezel on the side and play it in the original 4:3, you can, or you can make it play full screen. But I do have this little Samson in the box, courtesy of Nick from One Up Games in Gilbert. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this cartridge in there and show you guys how this thing plays. Now this is super exciting just because, you know, you're obviously not using an emulator. You're using an actual cartridge to play this thing. And you guys can see on the top here, it's got a slot right here for the game. So I'm kind of doing this one-handed, guys, so bear with me. But I'm gonna pop in the game, and then we're gonna fire it up. And you guys see it turns right on. And there you can see our full screen, or we can swap it to 4:3. So if you're a Nintendo NES collector and you don't have one of these, I highly recommend getting one because they are very cool, and you can play your games on the go or on the TV. And this thing actually came with 2 retro type controllers that plug in as well. So what's really cool is they're kind of like Super Nintendo controllers, so you can use those, but I obviously love to just play with the buttons and everything on here. So it does have a volume control on here, so you can turn the volume up and down. Let me see where that is right here. So boom. So I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to pick up an 8-bit boy from these guys. They do make a Super Nintendo version as well, and they will ship it to you, but $100 well spent.
All right, well, we had a great time today at the Gaming Zone and also at Fallout Games. Jacob spent most of his money grabbing these suppressor airsoft guns, which I don't blame him. He loves to go in the arena and play with his friends, but unfortunately, we did not find a NARC cabinet or a PlayStation 5, so the hunt will continue. If you guys want to see some more exciting arcade pickers action, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We will be visiting some huge home arcades very soon now that the weather is cooling off just a little bit. We've got several people calling us that want us to come over and not only pick their collections, but show off what they've been doing. So thanks again for watching Arcade Pickers, everyone. Until next time.